All right, y'all, welcome to the show. We got a lot to get to, man. So last night, there was an absolutely disastrous Trump rally at MSG. It backfired in his face colossally. Got a lot to say about that. Got a lot of clips to show you. We also have some early voting numbers and some late polls, and both of those things, if I'm being honest, look really, really good for Kamala. I'll break all that down for you. Then we have J.D. Vance and Jake Tapper having a heated debate and throwing down on CNN. Bill Maher has officially lost his mind. Trump's 2024 election rigging has begun. Got some amazing stories on that front. Washington Post was banned from endorsing Kamala Harris, even though the writers wanted to endorse Kamala Harris, because the billionaire owner Jeff Bezos stepped in and barred them. Just incredible, incredible story of corruption. Because why is Bezos doing it? Very simply, he wants tax cuts from Trump. He wants subsidies from Trump. He wants government contracts. If Trump wins, he doesn't want retribution. He doesn't want to get on Trump's bad side. So he's handcuffing the media in order to make that be the case. Really, really pathetic stuff. Then we'll get into Stephen A. Smith dog walk Sean Hannity on his own show. That's fun. And Charlemagne and Anderson Cooper over on CNN go to war over Trump. That's awesome as well. So, again, got a lot of stuff to get to. Everybody do me a big favor. Please like and subscribe to the channel. If you do anything, subscribe. It helps out massively in the algorithm. It costs you absolutely nothing. I truly, truly appreciate it. And, of course, a massive thank you to everybody who supports this show on Patreon. We couldn't do it without you guys. Unlike many other outlets, we are actual independent media. We make our money from you guys donating $2 a month or $5 a month or $7 a month. So we make our money through Patreon. We make our money through the default ads on YouTube. I've never had a conversation with an advertiser. I've never had a conversation with a billionaire. I've never had a conversation with a foreign government. So we are actual independent media, unlike almost everybody else in this space now. I mean, so-called new media or independent media is just a cesspool. You just have new corporate media. That's what it is. So forgive me if I'm a little fed up with so-called independent media sucking themselves off on a daily basis and acting like they're better than corporate media when the same perverse incentives now exist for you guys. And you've seen that a lot lately with certain interviews that certain political candidates were on, if I don't say so myself. So, again, a lot to get into, and let's go ahead and do it. So, this Trump MSG rally, man, this was an epic disaster. This was an epic disaster. So I'm going to get to the headlines in a little bit of, what the dominant narratives are coming out of this. But first, let me say, why is Trump doing an event at Madison Square Garden in New York? New York is not a swing state. Well, look, I have a theory on that. I think the reason why Trump has done a lot of campaign rallies in non-swing states, he's doing them in blue states, is because he's trying to put out there this aura of invincibility. He's trying to put out there this idea, we don't even need to campaign in the swing states because we're going to win those easy. What we're going to do is try to make blue states red states. And so, look, it's all part of the framework by which he turns around after the election if he loses and says, bro, it was obviously stolen again. This was obviously fraudulent. I mean, look, we were so sure we were going to win the swing states. We were campaigning in blue states because we thought we could flip those. And we had a big lead, and the lead went away when they started cheating. You had vote dumps at 3 a.m. So look, it's going to be recycled from 2020. We saw it then. He's already hinting, if not outright saying, he's going to do the exact same thing this time. And I don't know for the life of me why more people aren't talking about this. That he's basically broadcasting, I am going to try to steal the election again if I lose. So I think that's why he's doing it. Now, here's the problem for Trump. Trump's biggest political liability is that when people look at him, they think, he's kind of extreme. He's kind of wacky. He's kind of out there. He's kind of chaotic. He's not normal. He's extreme. This is what people think. And the evidence of that, of course, is the 2022 midterms and the special election since then. The more Trumpy the candidate, the worse they do in the election. And so they are tarred with overturning Roe v. Wade. They are tarred with being election deniers. Americans look at them and go, look, you're just kind of extreme. So when Trump went on Rogan, that was a good example of like, he's trying to appear normal. He's trying to appear like a human being. He's trying to just bro out and shit and giggle with an interviewer. So that was in the vein of what, in theory, he should be doing with his campaign. But then, immediately after that, he does this MSG rally and destroys it all. Why do I say that? Because this was MAGA on steroids and human growth hormone. It was all of the weirdness and the extremism of MAGA put front and center right before the election. This was a horrible strategic misstep. So let's start with this. The comedian Tony Hinchcliffe opened at Madison Square Garden here for the Trump rally. And boy, oh boy, have a lot of his clips gone viral for all the wrong reasons. So let's start with this one.
Welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this. It's wild. And these Latinos, they love making babies too. Just know that. They do. They do. There's no pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside, just like they did to our country. Republicans are the party with a good sense of humor.
That's a really funny thing to say when not many people laughed at your joke, right? I want you to take note of something. The whole idea that we hear about comedians these days, bro, they're brave truth tellers and nothing is sacred. They'll go anywhere, bro. They don't care who they're pissing off. He's at a Trump rally campaigning for Trump, and every single one of his jokes takes aim at people MAGA hate. That is not brave. That is the exact opposite of brave. All right, I got more for you.
Heck yeah, it's a cool black guy with a thing on his head. What the hell is that, a lampshade? Look at this guy. Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm just kidding. That's one of my buddies. He had a Halloween party last night. We had fun. We carved watermelons together. It was awesome.
Speaking at a Trump rally, going after Latinos and going after black folks. But I got more for you.
Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there. Again, normally I don't follow the national anthem, everybody.
So again, take note. He's kind of bombing. Do you know how racist your jokes have to be to bomb at a Trump rally? God damn, son. Now, understand, just from a raw political perspective, the election is about to happen. Guys, there are hundreds of thousands of Puerto Rican voters in Pennsylvania, one of the most crucial swing states. There's a lot of Puerto Rican voters all across this country, and of course, Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, right? So now you have all these big-name celebrity Puerto Ricans coming out and ripping Trump and his campaign and backing Kamala. It was an immense strategic misstep to do this. But also, after all this stuff came out, what did Tony Hinchcliffe do? He goes on Twitter and he starts firing shots at his critics, right? Like AOC criticized him, Tim Walz criticized him. There's a lot of criticism going around, a lot of articles written about this. And what does he do? He does the old comedian two-step. Namely, bro, you guys can't even take a joke, bro. I'm a comedian, bro. This is what I do. I make fun of everybody, bro. No, you didn't. You made fun of MAGA's top targets. That's who you made fun of. You didn't go in front of a group of Republicans and make fun of Republicans. Weird. You didn't do that. Very funny, right? So that's what he does. He gets up there and starts deflecting and obfuscating, and it's all, well, you guys can't even take a joke. You can't even take a joke. Here's the problem with that, Tony. You are not a comedian at a comedy club doing your thing. You are a comedian campaigning for Donald Trump at a Trump rally. You are expressly in the lane of politics now. So it is some chicken shit, weasel, cowardly bullshit to do your edgy jokes that you know are edgy and racist, and then turn around when you get criticism and be like, bro, why are you criticizing me, bro? I'm just telling jokes at a Trump rally campaigning for Donald Trump. Did you know he ends his set by just repeating Trump slogans? Just overtly and obviously super political. He's campaigning for Donald Trump. So the part about this that is the most infuriating is we've now hit, like, this is peak bullshit, hack, edgy comedy, where, like, the point is to be racist. The point is to cross the line, and then you cry and whine and bitch and moan when people point out, hey, that kind of crosses the line. Hey, that's actually super racist. Hey, that's actually fucked up. It's like, no, if you're gonna say it, don't hide behind the I'm a comedian shit. Say it with your chest, and then own it afterwards. When people start coming after you, tell them how you really feel. Yeah, I do think Puerto Rico's garbage. Say it. Just say it. At least then you'd be honest. The idea, oh, we're just joking, bro. We don't mean it. No, you fucking mean it. You mean all of it. You know you mean it. So that's the part of this that's most infuriating, is not that he told the racist, edgy jokes. It's, you're campaigning for Donald Trump, and then when you get called out, you're like, bro, why are you attacking me? I'm just a comedian. You're campaigning for Donald Trump. So, it's just, I'm so sick of this is what comedy has sort of morphed into these days, is this idea of, they need to change it from comedian. The whole idea of a comedian is, I'm going to make you laugh. Now it's like they are racing to just try to be the most offensive for the sake of being the most offensive. And it's like, that doesn't require that much skill. Anybody can go in front of a room and say the most racist shit they could think of. And then when they get called out for it, play the victim and say, oh, cancel culture. And oh, I'm just a comedian, bro. Again, you're not in a comedy club. You're opening up a Donald Trump rally. So say it and own it, and don't be a weasel about it and a coward about it. So this was one of the bigger stories that came out of the rally. Now I'll show you this clip. This is Elon Musk now going to a bunch of Trump events, and he gives us this gem of a line.
I'm not just MAGA. I'm dark, gothic MAGA.
He's not just MAGA. He's dark, gothic MAGA. Yeah, man. This definitely doesn't have angsty 14-year-old boy vibes. Unfuckable dork nerd vibes. All right, more. So this is some of the other highfalutin, very intellectual content that we saw.
In fact, she is the devil, whoever screamed that out. She is the Antichrist.
Calling Hillary Clinton the devil and the Antichrist. Tulsi Gabbard also spoke and did her normal bullshit about how, the Democratic Party is now the party of war and the Republican Party is now the party of peace. I think that's what pisses me off about these guys the most, is that everything is based on a myth. Everything is based on a falsehood. Do I despise Hillary Clinton for being a warmonger? Absolutely. But they pretend to despise Hillary Clinton for being a warmonger, but then they back their own warmonger. They back Donald Trump, who bombed Syria twice, who tried to coup Venezuela, who ripped up the Iran agreement, who killed Qasem Soleimani, who increased drone strikes 400%. You are not anti-war. If you're backing Donald Trump, that is not anti-war. By the way, they go after Hillary like crazy. Weird. They don't say a single goddamn word about Tom Cotton, the neocon's neocon, who Trump said he might put as Secretary of Defense or Secretary of State. They don't talk about Lindsey Graham, the neocon's neocon, who's backing Trump. They don't talk about Mike Pompeo, who Trump just glazed when he was on Joe Rogan's show. He's, again, the neocon's neocon. He's the guy who tried to kill Julian Assange. He's the guy who bragged about lying and cheating and stealing when he was the head of the CIA. So I don't want to hear it, right? I don't want to hear it. And of course, they have to take it a step too far and go to supernatural terms. And Hillary is the Antichrist and she's the devil. No, she could just be a warmonger, war criminal, right? And I'm against her for that reason. But these people pretend to be against her for that reason. But they're not, because they support their own warmongers. All right, more. Here we go. Got some more Hillary Clinton love for you.
She is some sick bastard, that Hillary Clinton, huh? What a sick son of a bitch. The whole fucking party, a bunch of degenerates, lowlives, Jew haters, and lowlives. Every one of them. Every one of them.
If there was a speaker at a Democratic rally who talked about Republicans like this guy just talked about Democrats, it'd be the leading news in the country. And every single Republican in the country, elected Republican, would be playing the victim, would be talking about how extreme the Democrats are, would be talking about how much they hate bipartisanship and they don't want to work together and they don't believe in the United States of America. They just believe in a blue America over a red America. Look, the Hillary Clinton deplorable line landed in that sort of way. She said about half of Trump supporters are deplorables and the other half are potentially reachable. And that became, oh my God, how dare she? She called us deplorables. That's unbelievable. She hates half the country, blah, 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 right? Here he is going after all Democrats. All Democrats are degenerates. Hillary Clinton is a sick son of a bitch. You could not castigate and put down Democrats in any more definitive terms than this guy did. And it will barely be a blip in the radar, right? No, hardly anybody will talk about it. And again, this is a little over a week before an election. And that's when you're supposed to be reaching out the most to moderates and independents and apolitical people and swing voters and disaffected Democrats. That's what you're supposed to be doing. And instead, what are they doing? You heard them. The whole fucking party. What a sick son of a bitch. The whole fucking party. A bunch of degenerates. Lowlives. Jew haters and lowlives. Every one of them. Every one of them. So that's what they think of you. I need you to understand that. That's what they think of you. If you are not 100% in agreement with the MAGA cult, if you don't shut your brain off and follow them like a lemming off the cliff, this is what they think of you.
10 days from now, to look in the eye to America with a straight face, it's going to be pretty hard to look at us and say, you know what? Kamala Harris, she got 85 million votes because she's just so impressive. As the first Samoan, Malaysian, low IQ, former California prosecutor ever to be elected president, it was just a groundswell of popular support. And anyone who thinks otherwise is just a freak or a criminal.
I remember when Republicans used to talk all the time about identity politics and how much they were against it, and how Democrats are obsessed with identity. I haven't heard Kamala Harris say a single word this campaign about her race. I've heard her say nothing about her race. I've heard her talk about freedom. I've heard her talk about patriotism. I've heard her try to reach out to more reasonable Republicans. I've heard that. I've heard her talk about policy and the $6,000 child tax credit and having Medicare have home care covered under Medicare. I've heard that. I haven't heard her say a single goddamn word about race. And when people bring up to her, like, ask her what she thinks of the other side, she says, look, I'm not entitled to anybody's vote. I have to earn everybody's vote. That's the shit that she's saying. Look at the shit that they're saying. Donald Trump, every other interview, he can't help himself, and he does the whole, like, is she Indian? Is she Indian or is she black? She used to be Indian. Now she's black. Which is it? Which is it? Let's talk more about her race endlessly. And here's Tucker Carlson calling her Samoan, Malaysian, and then low IQ. Again, yeah, real good politics here. Real good strategy. Just call your opponent, an idiot. Just call them stupid. That should be a sufficient enough argument to win you the election. Talk more about, what her background is, what her ethnicity is, what her race is. Republicans cannot shut the fuck up about race, and Democrats haven't said a goddamn word about race, even in the slightest. So I need you to remember that. I need you to understand that. So tell me who the identity politics obsessed are. Because look, call it what it is. Trump he's running a white identity politics campaign. That's what it is. That's what it is. So they actually love identity politics. They just want to do their version of identity politics. Here we have Hulk Hogan. He did his whole Hulk Hogan shtick, his whole routine. Listen to what he had to say about Kamala.
But when I hear Kamala speak, it sounds like a script from Hollywood with a really, really bad actress.
When he hears Kamala speak, it sounds like a script from Hollywood. First of all, Hulk Hogan had, one of the characters he played was called Hollywood Hulk Hogan. That's point number one. Point number two, you are doing your whole shtick right now. You're doing your whole acting shtick right now. Point number three, I don't know if you call it, he does a Hawk Tua. You know what that's in reference to, right? That's a sly reference to the idea that Kamala Harris, the only reason she got where she is because she slept her way to the top. It's a reference to Willie Brown. They've done fake pictures of Kamala Harris with P. Diddy, for example. They've done fake pictures of Kamala Harris with Epstein. Those ones I find the most incredible because there are real pictures of Donald Trump with Epstein. There was a story that just came out about how him and Epstein were besties and they had a sexual abuse game that they played together. A model in 1993 told a very detailed story which follows Trump's MO, the whole grab him by the pussy thing. And him and Trump and Epstein were good friends and they had a sexual abuse game they played together. But the right is doing fake pictures of Kamala Harris and Hulk Hogan. Kamala Harris and Hulk Hogan. Kamala Harris and Jeffrey Epstein. So, what is there to say about this? This is all they have these days, guys. This is all they have. All right, then we get to Rudy Giuliani. I don't even know how many crimes he's been convicted of this point. But I know they're seizing a bunch of his assets for the defamation case. Remember when he did defamation and slander against these poor women who were working at the ballot box, and he lied about them and acted like they were stealing the election. By the way, this is one of the masterminds of Trump's attempt to call the last election fraudulent. And then as soon as he got in front of a court, you know what he said? We're not even alleging election fraud. Because you actually have to prove your case in court, obviously it would fall apart, so he had to back off of his maximalist claims. Well, here's what he said at the rally.
Hamas is not there for us. Iran is not there for us. They want to kill us. And the Palestinians are taught to kill us at 2 years old. They won't let a Palestinian in Jordan. They won't let a Palestinian in Egypt. And Harris wants to bring them to you. They may have good people. I'm sorry, I don't take a risk with people that are taught to kill Americans at 2. I'm on the side of Israel. You're on the side of Israel. Donald Trump's on the side of Israel. And they're on the side of the terrorists.
Can they make it any more clear? They are broadcasting and screaming through a megaphone that as bad as Biden has been on Gaza, we're going to be worse. We can't wait to be worse. We love the idea of being worse. We think the problem with Biden is he's held Bibi back too much. We want him to finish the job. Trump uses the word Palestinian as a slur. He says he wants to deport pro-Palestine protesters. He just took $100 million from Miriam Adelson with the quid pro quo of, now you have to let Israel annex the entire West Bank. Trump just said the other day he talks to Bibi on a regular basis. And Trump has said publicly, Bibi should not listen to any time Biden tries to hold him back in any way, shape, or form, he shouldn't listen. And here's Rudy Giuliani saying Democrats are on the side of the terrorists, which is his way of saying just Palestinian. He thinks they're all terrorists. He's making that very clear right here. So in the midst of a genocide where over 50,000 Palestinians have been murdered by Israel in cold blood, this is the language that's coming out at the Trump rally. Look, you got to call a spade a spade. This looks and seems very similar to that. What was it? What year was the Nazi rally that happened at MSG? That's what this looks like. Now let's get to the big man himself. The big man himself.
I know many of them. It's just this amorphous group of people. But they're smart and they're vicious. And we have to defeat them. And when I say the enemy from within, the other side goes crazy. Becomes a sound. Oh, how can he say? No, they've done very bad things to this country. They are indeed the enemy from within. But this is who we're fighting.
So now this is what, the fifth time he's doubled down on the idea of the enemy within, namely being Democrats and people who are not on board with MAGA. In fact, he's even made clear in other interviews, I'm not even talking about the illegal immigrants now. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the people in this country who are not MAGA. He brings up Democratic politicians and says they are the enemy within. All right, more. Here we go.
I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Think of that. That's how far back. That's when they had law and order. They had some tough ones. Think of it, the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. You hear that, Mr. Speaker? Get ready.
Bragging about bringing back a law from 1798, back when they had law and order. Because, in 1798, everything was peachy in this country. That was when we had more justice. Jesus Christ, this is dark. By the way, it's only under Trump that you start hearing about these laws you never heard about previously, like the Insurrection Act. Remember when you had George Floyd riots and protests, and you wanted to invoke the Insurrection Act to deploy the U.S. military in our own streets against Americans? Remember that? And then he famously said behind the scenes, why can't you just shoot the protesters in the leg? This is what he wants to do. The Alien Enemies Act of 1798, and what he wants to do, he's already said he's bragging about it. I want to do a mass deportation of over 10 million people. Do you have any idea what that looks like? Any idea? And let's be clear, these people who you'd be deporting, it's not like they're all MS-13 violent criminals. These are like grandmas and nephews and nieces and uncles and people who work full-time jobs and people who are just trying to provide for their family and create a better life for themselves, and they're the lifeblood of the U.S. economy. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. More. Here we go.
It's not easy when you have a majority of 3. But he's done a great job, and he's going to continue to do a great job, and we like him. He's a terrific person. I watched him just totally decapitate a fake reporter on NBC, Meet the Press, Meet the Fake Press. What he did to her was, I think that probably she'll never be the same.
All right, so going after reporters some more, and then we have this.
And that's what happened. 82 years. Other than I finished off ISIS, but that was already started. We had stupid generals like Milley and Mattis, weak, stupid people.
All right, now let's be clear. Why is he going after Milley and Mattis, and why has he been going after Kelly recently? The answer is simple, because these are the 3 top administration officials who came out and said in no uncertain terms, he's a fascist. One of them said he's, quote, a fascist to the core. Kelly came out and told a story about Trump praising Hitler's generals and saying, why can't you be more like Hitler's generals? So that is why he's against these people, because they're telling the truth about who Trump is and what he wants to do. They know he tried to steal the last election. They know he cannot be trusted with power. They know he wants no checks and balances, full loyalists around him, the unitary executive theory, so anything he says goes. They called him out for that. Now, the dodge I've seen when people bring up this point is, bro, he's just mad at the generals because, like, the generals wanted to stay in the wars and he wanted to get out of the wars. That 100% is not what this is about. Not even close. And let's be clear, we also know he's not anti-war because very famously, since Biden pulled out of Afghanistan, Trump changed the tune completely, and he rips Biden for getting out of Afghanistan, and he keeps saying we should have kept Bagram Air Base. Okay, but that means that we're not ending the war. If we still have thousands of U.S. troops and a giant U.S. base in Afghanistan, that is not ending the war. So it's got nothing to do with ending wars. This is the guy who bombed Syria twice. This is the guy who tried to coup Venezuela. This is the guy who ripped up the Iran agreement. This is the guy who massively increased the drone war. The idea he's anti-war is garbage. It is not true. He just shoots from the hip and says whatever the fuck he thinks is going to get him elected, then he does what he wants, right? So he's not attacking these people because they're pro-war and Trump's anti-war. No, not even close. He's attacking these people because they called out the fact that he's a fascist and he's an authoritarian and he cannot be trusted with power. That's why he's going after them. So, look, this rally was horrible. And I'll show you some of the headlines that are coming out. So here we have CNN. Speakers at Trump rally make racist comments, hurl insults. Racist remarks and insults mark Trump's Madison Square Garden rally. Trump rally speakers invoke racist tropes in denouncing Harris. Vance defends Trump's enemies within comment. Comedian Tony Hinchcliffe performs wildly racist set at Trump rally in New York City. Yeah. And now he's trying to do the old comedian two-step and hide behind, bro, I'm just a comedian. I'm just making jokes. Then get your ass back in the fucking comedy club if you're just a comedian and you're just making jokes. You're not just a comedian. Now you are campaigning at a Trump rally for Donald Trump. It's a different ballgame now, son. It's a different ballgame now. So I'm just so sick of the fucking bullshit Weasley nonsense. If you're going to say it, stand by it. If you're going to campaign for Trump, take the incoming fire. But no, they can't do that. Finally, I'll end with this. Here's one of the Trump ads that's been running recently. I think it's from one of the PACs. It might be one of Elon Musk's PACs, actually. Look at how far gone they are and how horrible their messaging is.
Warning, this ad contains multiple instances of the C word. Viewer discretion is advised. Kamala Harris is a C word. You heard that right, a big old C word. In fact, all of the other C words think she's the biggest C word of them all. That's right, she's a tax-hiking, regulation-loving, gun-grabbing communist. And the worst part, she's proud of it. Kamala Harris, the C word America simply can't afford. See you nationwide, Tuesday, November 5th.
They are so deep in their own bubble, they don't know what's up, they don't know what's down, they don't know what's left, they don't know what's right. They are dating themselves so hard, and it is so clear to see. It's embarrassing. Today I feel pretty confident Kamala Harris is going to win. Because this stuff is, this is just catnip and red meat to the MAGA base. This doesn't expand the base. This is like preaching to the choir. And that's the last thing you should be doing, especially on the Republican side, leading up to the election. So I think there are going to be consequences for this. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.